John mentioned that I had gone to Southeast Asia for the Soybean Association, and that probably entailed one of the funniest commitments I ever made. I had to sign a contract promising never to say anything negative about soybeans, and I will keep that promise tonight. Okay. Consider the story told to me by one of my colleagues in animal sciences at Colorado State. The man told of his son-in-law who had grown up on a ranch but could not return to the ranch because there were too many siblings and he didn't make that much money. Notice that the average annual income of an eastern slope of the Rockies rancher is $35,000 a year. So we're not talking about a hell of a lot of money. It's not that far right, you know? So he reluctantly took a job managing a feeder pig barn at a large swine factory because he had raised pigs when he was a kid. One day he reported a disease that had struck the piglets to his boss. I have bad news and good news, he said. The bad news is the piglets are sick. The good news is they can be treated economically for pennies apiece. No, said the boss. Didn't you learn anything in the 6 months you've been here? We don't treat the animals. We euthanize them. And he proceeded to demonstrate, some of you may have seen this, by dashing the baby pig's heads on the side, excuse me, of a concrete pen. Have any of you seen it? It's not pretty. It's what the AVMA calls blunt trauma. And then throwing the still twitching piglet onto a garbage heap. The young man could not accept this. He bought the medicine with his own money, clocked in on his day off, and treated the animals. They recovered, and he told the boss. The boss's response was? Yes.
You're fired.
Good. Smart group. You're fired. The young man pointed out that he had treated them with his own time and money and was thus not subject to firing. He did, however, receive a reprimand in his file. 6 months later, he quit and became an electrician, and he wrote to his father-in-law, I know you are disappointed that I left agriculture, Dad, but this ain't agriculture. See? This ain't agriculture. It is arguable that the development of human civilization is directly dependent on the creation of a secure and predictable food supply. Such a food supply freed people from the uncertainties and vagaries of depending on hunting and gathering and enabled the establishment of communities. Predictability regarding food was assured by the development of both plant and animal agriculture, which operated synergistically. Cultivation of crops and plants secured human ability to depend on, barring catastrophes of weather, foods of plant origin, and on a steady and local source of animal feed. Animal agriculture, in turn, provided a source of labor for crop production, as well as a predictable reservoir of animal protein for human consumption. The secure food supply ramified the ability to develop manufacturing, trade, commerce, and in Thomas Hobbes' felicitous phrase, the leisure that is the mother of philosophy, construed in the broadest sense as speculative thought, science, technological innovation, art, and culture. Presuppositional to the development of both agricultures was the concept of sustainability, assurance that the conditions and resources necessary to them were indefinitely renewable. As children, many of us, and put up your hand if you learned about this, many of us learned about balanced aquariums. Any of you have that? If we wished to keep a fish tank where the fish lived and didn't want to keep tinkering with it, we needed to assure that the system in question was as close to a perpetual motion as possible. A system that required little maintenance because all parts worked together. This meant including plants that produced oxygen and consumed CO2, enough light to nourish the plants, or rather plants that thrived in the available light source, water that was properly constituted chemically, scavengers to remove wastes, and so on. When such a system worked, it required minimal maintenance. If something ran out of balance, plants and animals would die and require constant replacement. The fish tank aims at being a balanced ecosystem, and thus represents a model of traditional approaches to cultivation of land, wherein one sought to grow plants that could be grown indefinitely with available resources, which conserved and maximized these resources, and which would not die out or require constant enrichment. Hence the beauty of pastoral agriculture. I hadn't even thought of this until I was writing this paper, where pasture nurtured herbivores. Herbivores provided us with meat and milk and leather and labor, and their manure enriched the pasture to then produce more in a renewable cycle. Cultivation of land evolved locally with humans. If one did not attend to the constraints imposed by nature on what and how much could be grown in a given region, the region would soon cease to yield its bounty by virtue of salinization, depletion of nutrients, overgrazing, insect infestation, etc. So over time, humans learned to, as one book puts it felicitously, farm with nature, which became like animal husbandry, both